Hi, this is Bob Ferris. I'm one of the co-creators of Business Model U, and this video is to introduce two things. One is a continued personalization of the business model canvas, which you see here, and then we're going to also use this to introduce how we've used it to create a very novel and profitable pivot on an established business. Now, the personal business model canvas consists of 9 sections that you see here in the different colors, and if you're not familiar with them, what they do is explain how any business will generate money. I'll go through quickly these 9 sections. Over on the right hand side, the one marked CS is customer segments. No business can exist without customers. And the customers come because of the purple section, which is VP, the value proposition. Now that's purple because it's a combination of the blue or market areas on the right and the red or the resource areas on the left. In between the value and the customers, we have, first of all, our channels, which communicate the value and deliver the value to the customers. And then we also have above that CR, the customer relationships with how the customers are maintained. All of those things which you see are light bulbs, those are ideas, are meant to come together and produce revenues. And you'll see revenues is a piggy bank because that's money we can actually count, as opposed to ideas that we hope will generate those revenues. Now the revenues happen because the customers come and exchange money for the value proposition. How is the value proposition created? Well, that's the function of the area in red over to the left. You'll see KR. Those are key resources. Those are what you are and what you have. Above that is KA, your key activities. That's what you do. And then to the left of that, we have the key partners. That's what you need that you don't already have or do, and you get from a key partner. All of those things come together and form something countable, which are your costs. And the differences are your cash flow. Now, these canvases are often big posters and groups of people put sticky notes in the various sections. So what you see on the right and left hand side there are little icons that are used to represent sticky notes. You'll see on the right hand side I have some default stickies that I want to always consider in a personal business model. They form sort of a sentence. How your competence helps others to do what. And then on your left, you'll see some others that I've filled out, which are also things I always want to have defaulted into my canvas. And the actual personal business model canvas template starts off looking like this. You'll see the customer segments on the right are the others. The value proposition is the how we serve those others. Many people start off with these things thinking their value proposition is helping others. If you look up in key activities, you'll see helping is an activity. It's not the value you provide. What help you provide is a function of your key resources, your competencies. You'll see over to the left in key partners, I put staff. Now you would normally think of staff as a key resource. However, in the case of personal business models, we need to be aware that you're never in your career alone. You're always working with others, and who those significant others are need to be a part of your model. So I've always put it there to remind me of that. Under revenues, of course, that's the money in. In cost, you'll see the money out. Also, in a personal business model, we like to consider intangibles such as time and energy. Now, as you look at this, there's two anomalies. First, there's a sticky note left over in the upper right-hand corner. It says, do what? And that is to represent something called the job to be done. The customer really comes to you and gets your value because the customer has a job they need done. And as we change our model, it's been important to keep in mind what that job to be done is. And it's not really expressly embedded in the inside of the canvas, so I leave it up there on the right-hand side. One of the popular expression that describes the job to be done is customers really don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. So we need to keep that in mind. The other thing is you'll notice two sections are blank, the channels and the customer resources. This is the sales and marketing engine that's going to drive the business. And the reason it's blank in the personal business model is because this is a real issue, particularly with baby boomers and Gen Xers who find out that they are having to leave corporate America. And if you look at corporate America, most of businesses consist of what, 10 or 20% sales and marketing, 80 to 90% operations, customer service, fulfillment, and so forth. Their skill set is over in the red resource area. It's not over in the right market area. So as they have a good idea to start a business, or perhaps they get involved with a business franchise, they run into trouble because the native skill set doesn't give them the abilities to create the channel or the customer resources. This is a huge problem in career transition, and it's one of the things that we really have to think about. Now, this template is one of many. If you look at the bottom, you'll see a website there, www.businessmodelU.com. You can go there, download the templates that are already described in the several books on business models. But what I want to use is this template and apply it to, interestingly enough, a business, and show how we can use the same approaches we use on a personal business model to develop a business. So here is the canvas, and it's filled out for business we're going to call Fit for Life. That is an executive fitness center. If you take a look at the customer segments, those customers are members, and they are members because of the value, which is it's a great club. They are there. The job to be done is for fitness. The revenues consist primarily of monthly membership fees. Sometimes also some of the members can take advantage of personal training. That's a secondary source of revenue. If we look at the resources required to maintain a great club, the key resources, of course there's the building, and then there's the equipment inside. The activity is the promotion and management. Key partners are personal trainers and suppliers to the club. So the costs are the facility itself, the trainers, and the staff. Now, what do we do about the channels and the key resources? Well, this is one of the nice things about the fitness club business model. The club is actually the channel. That's the value, and that's how we deliver the value. And the club is also the way we maintain the relationship. As long as the members are happy with the club, they're happy with the business. And this has made fitness centers a popular model. There's some 30,000 fitness centers just in the United States alone because they are fairly easy to run. The issue with the model is all these fitness centers have sort of commoditized the center itself, and while they are profitable, they're not hugely profitable. So the question is, now that we've got the model developed, can we think about this and create a pivot, which generally moving a sticky note from one section to the other and seeing what the implications are? Can we find a pivot that would significantly increase those profits? So here's the model again. Where do we go to find such a pivot? A good place to start is the value proposition. That's the heart of the model. Okay, this is a great club, and I'd like to walk through a few things here. The great club, being the source of the customer relationship, is a very passive relationship. The business relates to the club relates to the member, but the business isn't relating directly to the member. So it's a little weak. And if we continue up here in the same direction, if we look, the job to be done is fitness. And while being a member of a great club can lead to fitness, once again, it suffers from that same indirectness. Now, is there some way that the business can become more directly involved in the job to be done? Well, if we look around here, we see personal training, which is a secondary revenue. Personal training would involve the business more directly in the member's fitness. And this has led to a pivot here. What if we promoted training to be the primary revenue source, and in fact we're even willing to take membership contracts and make them an expense? In other words, what if the business developed a personal training program that it believed in so much in helping its members achieve their fitness goal that it would even give away the membership contracts? What's going to happen here? Well, you'll see in revenues now, memberships, there's also some people who wouldn't subscribe to the personal training, but they're still there, but they're a secondary source. What happens immediately is the value proposition of personal training is fitness, okay? And the customer relationship is now primarily through personal training, which is a very active source and provides direct relationship between what it is the members are buying and what their job to be done is. There is some additional cost. You need a sales staff who's oriented towards this and understands it. And of course, as additional revenues come in, they need to be appropriately compensated. So how does this actually work out in practice? Well, what we're going to do here is show you some numbers for Fit for Life for the second half of 2012, when this pivot was being developed, and the first half of 2013, which shows the impact after it's in full operation. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see sales. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see expenses. In the center is the difference. It's the cash flow. And if we run through the first 6 months, or sorry, the last 6 months of 2012, you'll see what happened. Now we're going to execute the pivot as we go into 2013. And I'm going to stop the graphs for a moment after the first 2 months and talk about seasonality. Beginning of the year, January, a lot of people have New Year's resolutions that involve fitness, so there's an influx of memberships from seasonality. This is not profit, it's actual cash flow. So if you're looking at that center graph, which is really the easiest place to focus as I do this, you'll see a lot of cash comes in, and then February, the commissions are due on those contracts. However, it's a short month, so there aren't as many new contracts coming in. You see it go up and down. If we continue over the next 4 months, you'll see zigzags, but look, they're always going up, they're always going up. So what does this mean for money in the bank? Well, if we compare on the right-hand side the average sales for the last half of 2012 to the average sales on the first half of 2013, they're going to be up 22%. Now expenses are also up, but expenses are up 11%. The net to cash flow is there's 11% or more of your sales volume now going to the bank. Now, can we reproduce this? Well, in 2013, Fit for Life purchased a second facility, and we've got 4 months of data where we can compare same month to prior year, and in the new facility using this pivot, right, we see an increase of 14% of sales as cash in the bank month to month over the initial operations there. So, what are the takeaways from this little exercise? Well, that's going to depend on who you are. You may be a business model user. You may already have a business model. You're trying to use it. You may be a Fit for Life member. There's something for each group here. People learning to use business models. Here's an example of a personalized iPad template, which lets me incorporate some of the ideas that have been developed over time in using personal business models. Some of those are color-coded regions, which help create pivots. More importantly, the visibility of the job to be done, which helps anchor those pivots into things that are more useful. A purpose-oriented template, which you really need to consult the book in order to understand the value of that. And also in this particular instance, you're going to see what appears to be a very novel pivot. Who would think of taking your primary revenue source and making it a cost? This is Gillette, the founder of the Gillette Company, and that particular industry is famous for a marketing approach called giving away razors in order to sell blades. Guess what? Isn't that the same idea? Right? Taking what had been a primary revenue source and turning it into a cost. They've been successful for years and years and years. Now, if you have a business model already, the reason that you've developed it is that you really want to take those insights that have been developed in the model and use it to convince somebody to give you money. That somebody could be a customer to buy from you. It could be an employer to hire you. It could be an investor to invest in a business idea. But what you're going to find very useful in this illustration was working to put some dollars on the canvas. I've had the good fortune to have actual numbers here. You're normally not showing a canvas when you're discussing employment or investment or purchasing with somebody, but it's good to have those values in your mind. For instance, I can say, based on early experience, this new model has put an additional 10 to 15% of our sales in the bank. I don't know a single CEO that wouldn't be very, very interested in those kind of numbers. The Fit for Life ownership model is very interesting in that Fit for Life can maintain the sales responsibility and yet have other people own other facilities. And what that does is that allows other individuals who have the skill sets over in the resource side to get into business for themselves and still have somebody else provide the platform to bring in the additional members which generate the revenues. What the owner has to do is provide ideal customer satisfaction. Now, this isn't brain dead. Fit for Life trainers are often written up because they're very, very exceptional. It takes some execution, but that execution should be in a skill set many more people are very aware of than the sales and marketing side. And finally, this idea, if you look at the scalability, those 30,000 fitness centers out there create annual combined revenues of some $22 billion. If we said a good idea is one that's worth at least $1 million, it doesn't take a very large fraction of that $22 billion. Well, let's see. If we're going to take 10% of it, that would be $2.2 billion. And we only need a small fraction of that, again, in order to see that this is easily a multi-million-dollar idea. Fit for Life members over there, this is an interesting idea. You may want to discuss with the club becoming a financial partner and profit from the club, as well as increase your personal fitness. Also, Fit for Life is going to be using this approach and teaching its members how to improve their individual businesses or their individual careers using this approach. So you're going to see career fitness workshops there. If you're interested in either one of these, feel free to contact the staff. Anyone's also free to contact me. There's my email address down there. You can also comment on the social media portion here, and I look forward to looking at those comments in the future. Thank you.